Hi everyone, now this video is about creating the flow diagrams. Now in your assignment you've been told to use Microsoft Visio. Actually you could use another tool, an online tool that I am about to show you. But before we start drawing the flow diagrams, we need to identify what we need to draw the flow diagrams about. In other words, how this business that we are designing a solution for operates day to day, and what happens to data, how it's processed, and what is the flow of data, and what is the output of our system that we are proposing. If you look on the screen right now, it's like we have identified this is another system. It is not relevant to your assignment. You need to design one of these for your assignment. But if you read that, the desired function of this system are as follows. In bullet points, we need to create and store details of guardian of the child, create and store details of the child, create and store details of the case, so on and so forth. Now, these are the steps how this is a business process from a council, and you just need to take it step by step, following what happens to data in that organization. Okay, if you look at the next page here, okay, we have a flow diagram. We set up a case and we make a decision. The diamonds are decision-making blocks. If is the guardian registered with social service? In other words, you set up a case and check the guardian of the child. If it is registered, you follow on to the next diamond, which there is another yes or no question. If it is not, then we need to create a guardian, and the square is represented for that reason. Okay, and you can see the flow diagram here. Okay, there'll be several questions. Is the child registered with the social service? Yes, go on to next stage, create a case. No, you have to create a child record. This record might be entering child detail to your database design, to your database, the one that you designed. Now if you follow on, it's quite logical. After the case is created, and clearly the child must be registered and the guardian must be registered, okay, you can set up is the case urgent. So this means it could be an urgent case or a non-urgent case, which you can say if it is yes urgent, escalate the case. There will be some business procedures. Right now we are identifying the processes, what happens one after the other. So look at the diagram. Now I will show you an example here. Okay, I've set up early on. I'm going to minimize the screen. If you go onto Google, okay, and type Lucid Charts, I think it is charts. Okay, okay, Lucid Charts. It's this one, the chart maker. It gives you a free tool to create these diagrams, flowcharts. So I have an account with them already. It is not a paid account, by the way, it is for free. So I'm going to go back to my account. You come to a screen like this. I use my Google account to log in, you can see from there. And student registration is what we are going to create today. But remember, this is not your assignment. Your assignment is a GP surgery. So you need to identify all the processes in your GP surgery and think about what happens to data when a patient comes to register to the surgery. Or let's say the patient is sick and they turned up at the reception. What are the procedures? You would check if the patient is already registered with the GP surgery and then find them their assigned GP and try to book them an appointment if the case is urgent. If not, they could be given an emergency appointment or they can be given an appointment for a future date. So these processes you need to think it through before you submit me you give me these diagrams in your report. So let's have a look at the student registration one. This is a very simple one. It's one of the examples in Lucidcharts, so I thought it would be appropriate just to understand how to draw these diagrams. If I go here, okay, I am zoomed in a little bit. Let's see if I can actually zoom out. If I said Control minus, yeah, that's it. Now, student registration. It starts with the student. Student registers, and then the administration department accepts the application. In other words, there is a completed application here. What happens at this stage if the application, and remember the shape of it, it is a diamond shape. Okay, it is, what's a diamond? It is a decision making. What is a square or a rectangle? It's a process. So student registration is a process, and application complete is a decision. Now, I will follow the arrows. To make the arrows join up, let me just try to remove that arrow if I can. Let me see, there we go. Delete that line, here we are. Now, the first step is student registration, then check if the application is complete. In this case, if it is not complete, what I will do is not clear. Obviously, if the application isn't complete, I will go to the end line there and draw, there is only yes or no, okay, a line back to student registration. So the student re-registers and submit an application form. If the application is complete, then we follow the yes line, and that takes us to another, remember what the diamond is? Decision. Minimum standard met. This might be a requirement by the school. It might be the student must have scored a minimum of 3 A stars in their A level, for example. Okay, so if the minimum standard is met, I will follow the yes line here. And that takes me to another diamond. Remember? It's a decision making. If the standard isn't met, it is pushed back to the administration department, and I've got a, what was the rectangle again? It's called a process. Well done. Go back to process, write a rejection letter, and the rejection letter is actually sent to it says acceptance letter, but this means a document. So you are effectively writing a rejection letter in the form of a letter or an email. Now, going back to the case, yes, the minimum standard is met, you follow and go to next diamond, and diamond was decision. Suitable for programs, and if the student is suitable for the programs that we offer, we will write an acceptance letter and simply follow the line and print it out. If the student is not suitable for the programs, this might be decided after an interview or other procedures depending on the educational establishment. We will write a rejection letter and feed it back as output. So if you think about this system, student makes a registration, and that can be regarded as the input to the system, and it goes through with yes or no decision making processes, and then finally an output in the form of a letter is produced. And if you have sort of just all you have to do, go through these, a terminator. For example, you might want to terminate an event. I could add a terminator after the letter is sent, but this will be sufficient enough for your assignment. You just need to break the processes clearly down, how your database is actually being used and how does it help this business to actually perform their day-to-day operations, just like the one I gave you in this example. Okay, this was a child case study. You will do one for GP surgery. So if you want to think about your processes, you need to sort of sit down and write them down. For example, a patient registration, you will start with that one, and you have already accommodated those in your database design. A form will allow you to type in, or the receptionist, new registration patient details into the GP surgery database. I could show you more examples, and here, for example, after that stage, if we break it down into create a Guardian record, I'm going back to the child case on my example. Okay, this is in line with the database design. Create a Guardian record. What does that mean? It is actually quite similar to create a patient record. Open Guardian form. You would be thinking about open patient's form, or new patient's form in your case, and then you would have buttons in your database design to say click add to record button, get data from the Guardian. This will be the physical data that you type into the computer. Then follow the steps. So I need you to break your processes down into a flow diagram and then make sure that is part of your assignment. Okay, and that's all I need to say about this for now, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.